and welcome to CoreTV News at 4 with me, Sabena Izuku. The Senate has begun screening 8 ministerial nominees after a closed-door session lasting more than 2 hours. The confirmation hearing had been deferred by 1 week as a result of the opposition put by the All Progressive Congress caucus of the Senate to the nomination of former Minister of State for Defense, Musiliu Obanikoro. But as soon as the first nominee, Patricia Akwashiki, a former senator for Nasarawa State, was invited to the chamber, the Senate President David Mark reminded senators of the tradition of not grilling former federal lawmakers nominated for cabinet positions. This then paved way for Akwashiki, who was a senator in the 6th Assembly, to simply bow and go without taking questions. Obanikoro is listed as the 6th of 8 nominees listed for screening. The House of Representatives on Tuesday filed against a perceived plot to remove the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Atahiru Jega, before the March 28 presidential election. It also insists that any further shift in the general elections could result in crisis in the country. The lawmaker took this decision on the basis of a motion by Representative Ali Ahmed, who called on the federal government and other stakeholders to desist from interfering with the composition of the present INEC leadership and the rescheduled election dates. Ahmed urged the House to resist any attempt to remove Jega, but Deputy Leader Leo Ogo argued that the motion was speculative. The House subsequently resolved that the state quo as regards
conscious
be maintained.
Of the current precarious security situation in the country occasioned by the Boko Haram terrorist activities, the House notes that the initial postponement of the general elections for 6 weeks due to the security concerns related to the Boko Haram insurgency has further heightened the tempo of pre-electoral violence, alarmed by the possibility, threats, and insinuation to precipitate actions that would cause further alteration to the status quo arrangements and regulation of the general elections, concerned that any alteration to the status quo arrangements in whatever form at this crucial stage would invariably lead to further postponement of the date of elections, further concerned that such threats to tamper with the status quo may take several forms, including but not limited to illegal removal of the current INEC chairman.
This motion, clearly, as good as you may hear it, is totally speculative. You have not been able to quote or tell us precisely what actually is happening. And where we sit down and we start taking speculative motions, I think at the end of the day we may draw some unnecessary conclusion. In the body of the motion, I did not hear any specific identification or a clear position. And I think it is extremely important that we don't just start speculating for unnecessary speculation. Nobody, and I repeat, nobody is interested in removing Jega. Because at the end of the day, we want a free and fair election. Hold on, please. Let me learn. Hold on. Let me learn. That is the prayer of the motion. Now, when you start...
Those in support of this motion, please say aye. Aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it.
As the issue of the alleged removal of INEC Chairman Atahiru Jega continues to rumble the All Nigerian Save Democracy movement says it will resist such moves. This was contained in an address by the group in Lagos on the issue. Lydia Okus was there for CoreTV News and she filed this report, which is presented from our studio.
Agitations from various quarters have continued to trail the growing rumors on possible shift of the 2015 general elections and removal of the INEC chairman Atahiru Jega, who most Nigerians believe to have performed better than any of his predecessors. Foremost among the critics is the convener of the All Nigerian Safe Democracy Movement, Adebayo Mark, who says there will be an open confrontation with President Jonathan if the INEC chairman is eventually removed before the election.
And call on all Nigerians to resist any attempt to further postpone the elections again or illegally remove Professor Atahiru Jega as INEC chairman before his term runs its course.
Fielding questions from journalists, Adebayo reiterated that the eventual removal of Jega will result in heating up the polity and will attract international sanctions.
Removal of Professor Jega at this time is sure to rob the 2015 general elections of all credibility credentials. Ditto for any further postponement, which may procure unwanted and unwarranted consequences. For us at Amsterdam, there are no reasons genuine enough for these two scenarios if our politicians, especially those currently in control of government at the federal level, mean well for this country.
As Nigerians gear up for the March 28 and April 11th elections, they hope a further postponement will not question the credibility of the polls.
The Lagos State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has queried the Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola on the whereabouts of the 136 billion naira subsidy reinvestment and empowerment program SHOPE, funds collected from the federal government. The PDP publicity secretary in the state, Taofiq Gani, made these allegations in a press statement and spoke with a correspondent, Oluwase Adegoke. The report.
The Lagos State government has been criticizing the federal government, on the use of the SHOPE money. But people can see that the federal government, has done a lot of things in the area of railways, education, empowerment. You talk of SHOPE, FEMA, you talk of UWIN, and the rest. Now, what is the thing to show for SHOPE existence in Lagos?
The PDP stalwart in the state affirms that the campaign messages of the APC governorship candidate through jingles, posters and other avenues point to a vote of no confidence in the services rendered by the Fashola administration. This is because, according to him, Akiambode has promised to declare a state of emergency in critical sectors of the state if elected.
Lagos State has collected over 136 billion since the start of the SHOPE fund. Now, what is the categorical thing that Governor Fashola, who has been collecting this money on behalf of the state, can show to Lagosians to have been done by even 10% of the money? We still have our hospitals dilapidated, not well equipped, except for the area that is privatized. You have the only university in the state being, the fee being skyrocketed to the tune of 375, and not until after they lost the Ekiti election, they reverted back to 25,000, with the legislation not being amended yet.
It therefore challenged the state government to account for all the resources collected from the federation account, especially those meant to service the subsidy reinvestment and empowerment program SHOPE activities in Lagos State.
We are challenging Governor Fashola to come and explain to Lagosians, because he who lives in glass house, is advised not to throw stone. But now that he has thrown the stone, he must, face the consequence. We are also asking, Lagosians are demanding that Governor Fashola should come and show to them the things he has used the over 136 billion naira SHOPE money to do in the state.
Efforts to get the reaction of the state chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, and the state publicity secretary, Joey Bukwe, has so far not yielded any result. We hope to bring you updates as events unfold. Oluwase Adegoke, CoreTV News, Lagos.
And away from that, with 4 members of the Accord Party confirmed dead and others struggling for their lives, governorship candidate of the party in Oyo State, Rashid Ladoja, says the masterminds of the political clash must be brought to justice. Meanwhile, the All Progressive Congress and the state have denied involvement in the incident, stating that it is the plot of the opposition to attract political sympathy ahead of the poll. Omotayolo has more.
The aftermath of the violence unleashed on members of Accord at this very spot, located in Ibadan Southeast Odinjo community, have left family members dismayed and party members worried on the current exhibition of insecurity in the state. While paying condolence visits to families of the affected victims and residents of the area, Accord Party governorship candidate Rashid Ladoja described the event as unfortunate and uncalled for, as he called on state security operatives to carry out their duties effectively.
3 members were caught in the house of the APC world chairman. Who sent them? Was he the one who sent them, or was it somebody superior to him? Is that the only house in that area? Why did they go there? You see, it's unfortunate that people don't live up to their expectation. When something happens, why do you have to deny something that is obvious? For a government that prides itself on security, people are holding a meeting and then you just go there and slaughter them in the name of politics. Is it by force that people should vote for you?
Meanwhile, Oyo State APC chairman Akinyoke has debunked claims linking his party to the bloody clash. He added that APC preaches peace and would not be a part of election violence.
We can see the faces of some of the people arrested. Looking at them, none of them belongs to our party. These are people suspected that they have taken part in the fracas and they've been arrested, paraded. 8 of them, none of them confess that they belong to our party.
And the organizers of the gathering, Benga Dewusi and Akim Ige, vying for the Ibadan Southeast, Ibadan Northeast Federal Constituency and Ibadan Southeast State Constituency in the State House of Assembly respectively, have urged supporters not to be dismayed while calling on the State Police Command to investigate the case without compromise.
That's very new branded account. So he was hit on the thigh, but do not trace him with that with the blood. Yes, with the blood stain to the chairman of APC house in that ward. It.
What's the name of this APC?
I don't remember. So I don't know his name. I don't have anything with him. I don't know, but it's the chairman. But so he was traced to the place.
With this attitude, they are driving back quality people to join politics. How can a sane human being take a pump action and you'll be shooting people? It's never done. I retired as a banker before I joined politics. You understand? So what message are we trying to pass?
As political activities continue to eat up on the countdown to election day, the actions and inactions of politicians leaves a lot on the minds of citizens as they wonder what price they have to pay to exercise their civic rights. Omotayo Alo, CoreTV News, Ibadan.
You're still watching CoreTV News. On the hour, we'll take a short break, and when we return, there'll be more stories for you. To stay with us.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360.
2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Welcome back to the news. For more information, you can reach us on our social media platform, and that's on facebook.com/CoreTV News, on our Twitter handle @CoreTV News NG. For news updates and other programs, you can stream live on youtube.com/CoreTV and the news. The national leader of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Tinubu, has petitioned the National Broadcasting Commission over a documentary aired by the African Independent Television. In the petition filed by his lawyer Tunji Abayomi, described the one-hour documentary tagged Lion of Borderland as extremely libelous. In the petition addressed to the NBC Director General Emeka Mba, the former Lagos State Governor said the documentary, which has since been transmitted twice, was libelous and offensive to his reputation. He argued that the documentary violates rules and regulations guiding such political adverts, particularly during an electionary year. In demanding sanctions against AIT, the petitioner wondered why he was singled out for attack when he was not running for any elective post. The senatorial candidate of the People's Democratic Party for Ogun West, Bisola Sodipe Clark, has assured women of a constituency total commitment in developing the feminine agenda, youth emancipation, and quality presentation of the women at federal levels. She also promised total poverty eradication at all levels if voted into power.
Quality representation is beyond just making laws. It's also being able to see what the federal government has done and being able to bring those proceeds down to Ogun Central for the people. Anything that is going to cause alleviation of poverty, anything that is going to allow our youth to have jobs and to empower them, anything that is going to allow our women to be empowered, and definitely that means the whole family unit can only be good for us.
Into the low distribution rate of the PVCs in the state, Clark called on INEC to rectify all militating factors and fast-track elections in the state as election fast approaches.
For instance, in Ogun State, up until the time of postponement, there was only 40% distribution of PVCs. I mean, are we going to say that we're going to have a free and fair election where 60% of people who are willing to vote are disenfranchised? Are we going to have a lopsided distribution and then say that it is a free and fair election? So I think that since the role of INEC is to be an independent arbiter in this election and to be able to allow the electorate to decide whom they want to come in, I believe that that starts at the ballot box, and it starts with the PVC.
And away from that, the federal government has admitted owing fuel marketers 185 billion naira after paying about 320 billion naira in 2 installments in December last year. It also insisted that the fuel queues will disappear within the next 48 hours. Finance Minister Okonjo-Iweala spoke on the sidelines of an agreement signing ceremony on mortgage financing in Abuja. She added that part of the debt will be cleared at a meeting slated for Wednesday.
No one expected the current fuel shortage, especially as government had always said it was meeting its obligations to marketers. But what was first seen in Abuja a few days ago has now spread across the country. Some chieftains of the ruling People's Democratic Party had blamed the situation on opposition politicians whom they accused of conniving with some marketers. But now, the federal government has admitted owing marketers billions of naira in subsidy payments.
Since this recent pressure from the marketers, we reached agreement with them last week. We met with them last week in Lagos to talk about how to take care of the balance of about 185 billion that we have, that we are owing them. And we are, as we speak, we reached agreement with them since last week on how to handle this, that we would be issuing them the usual SDNs. That is the piece of paper that certifies that government is going to pay them.
The finance minister, however, does not understand why the marketers would stop lifting fuel after all the assurances they received. She has consequently invited them to Abuja for part payment. The government has also resolved to pave way for lines of credit for the marketers.
The marketers will be coming here to meet with us again tomorrow. We've also agreed to meet the foreign exchange and interest costs, which they were agitated about. All this was agreed last week in Lagos. So the issue of the financing and how to handle it should not be the issue. We've cleared the air with them on that. The central bank governor has even gone to also the extent of working with the bank so that they can open letters of credit, so that oil marketers who want to purchase can open letters of credit. now. So the financing issues are well in hand. Agreed with them, and this is not the issue at the moment.
And ahead of the meeting, the minister is appealing for understanding among Nigerians. But she also says the marketers would be paid what is due them to ensure a return to normalcy.
A contingent of the British Army in Nigeria is to build the capacity of operational level officers on counterinsurgency. The 5-day seminar opened at the Jaji Military Cantonment in Kaduna State with Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Kenneth Minima, assuring Nigerians and the international community that more territory seized by Boko Haram will soon be liberated. It disclosed that the successes recorded in the last few days were as a result of joint operations between the Nigerian forces and the Cameroon, Chad and Niger counterparts. The Army Chief also expressed optimism that the seminar will further strengthen the long-standing partnership between Nigeria and British armies.
Because we met it here in Jaji. Now, we have been training at the tactical level, and we requested that this training could be more beneficial if we upgrade it to the operational level. And that's the essence of today's seminar, and hence the theme, so that we upgrade the training to include the operational level training, so that formation commanders like GOCs, brigade commanders and so forth can also benefit from the military assistance training.
During the Second World War, Nigerian troops who had trained with their British brothers in arms saw action with the 1st West Africa Infantry Brigade and the 81st and 82nd West Africa Divisions, which fought in Burma. And my brigade, working in support of BMAT, has a relationship to 7th Armoured Brigade, the antecedent of 7th Infantry Brigade, was in Burma in 1942, and it handed over to the 81st West African Division in August 1943. Also, I know that a number of Nigerian Army regiments, as part of the 3rd African Brigade, specifically the 6th, 7th and 12th battalions, served with distinction with the Chindits, as did the 6th Gurkha Rifles, the regiment I joined as a young officer, and a unit that is extremely close to my heart, as you might imagine. So it is on a solid foundation of joint successes together that we are able to focus on this seminar package that is planned for this week.
We'll take another break, and when we return this time, we'll take you a trip to Indonesia. Stay with us.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical. Women being so powerful, yet have few grounds in decision making.
They see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on CoreTV News.
Welcome back. And outside Nigeria, Prime Minister Antonia Abbott on Wednesday said he was revolted by the imminent execution of 2 Australians by Indonesia as armored cars apparently carrying the 2 men left a Bali jail. Abbott has repeatedly called for Jakarta to halt the killings of Andrew Chan and Miyuran Sukumara, the ringleader of the so-called Bali 9 drug trafficking gang. But his appeals have fallen on deaf ears, with television pictures showing at least 2 armed cars surrounded by riot police leaving Bali's Kerobokan jail at around 5:20 a.m. Indonesia time on Wednesday. Australian media said Chan and Sukumaran were believed to be inside.
When I spoke to President Widodo last week, I made it absolutely crystal clear what Australia's position was, is and always will be. We abhor drug crime, but we abhor the death penalty. I think right now millions of Australians are feeling sick in their guts at the prospect of execution for these 2. I've been saying again and again that this is contrary to Indonesia's national interest and it's contrary to Indonesia's best values. Let's maintain our values, let's maintain our respect for human life as a nation and as a society. But let's remember that A good relationship with Indonesia is very important to this country, and whatever might happen in the next few days, the relationship with Indonesia must endure, and over time it must grow stronger. But obviously, this is a very difficult period for the relationship, and I hope that even at this late hour, the better angels of the Indonesian people's nature will reassert themselves. Thank you.
And that's it on the news on the hour. Do join us at the top of the hour for Global News. I am Sabina Izoku, and thank you very much indeed for watching.